I don't know how to explain what I'm about to tell you. Not because it's hard to understand. No, that's the terrifying part. It's so simple, so obvious once you see it, that you'll wonder why no one ever told you before. But they didn't tell me either, until it was too late. The first time I noticed it, I thought I was losing my mind. You've had those moments, right? When something feels off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. For me, it started with a clock. A cheap digital alarm clock sitting on my nightstand. Every morning at exactly 6:42 a.m., it would reset itself. Not stop working, not flash random numbers. It just went back to zero and started counting again like nothing happened. I replaced the batteries. I bought a new clock. Hell, I even switched outlets in my apartment. Nothing worked. At 6:42 a.m. every single day, the damn thing reset. Then came the dreams. They weren't nightmares, not really. More like memories. Scenes from places I'd never been. Faces I didn't recognize. Always the same sequence. An empty field under a gray sky. A man digging a hole. And then a sound. A low hum. Almost musical. Vibrating through everything. When I woke up, my chest felt heavy, like someone had pressed their hand over my heart while I slept. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Work was hectic. Life was messy. Who doesn't have weird dreams when they're overwhelmed? But then things outside the dreams started matching them. Little coincidences at first. A stranger on the subway wearing the same coat as the man in my dream. A news report about sinkholes opening up in fields across the country. And always that hum lingering in the background of my thoughts. One night, I decided to test myself. I set my phone to record audio as I slept. If there was some kind of noise haunting me, maybe I could catch it. The next morning, I played back the recording, expecting static or silence. Instead, I heard this. Pause. A voice. It wasn't loud or clear, but it was unmistakable. Someone whispering words I couldn't make out. Over and over again. Like a mantra. My blood ran cold. I rewound the recording, listened again, trying to decipher the syllables. That's when I realized the voice wasn't speaking English, or any language I knew. Yet somehow, deep down, I understood what it meant. Count backward, it said. Find a pattern. What pattern? What did it mean by counting backward? I spent hours obsessing over it, scribbling numbers on scraps of paper, looking for connections between the strange events in my life. The clock resetting at 6:42, the recurring dreams, even the dates on the news reports about the sinkholes, they all seemed tied together somehow. But how? And then I remembered something I hadn't thought about in years. A game my grandfather used to play with me when I was a kid. He called it the countdown. He'd write down 3 numbers, random ones, he claimed, and challenge me to find a relationship between them. It was supposed to be fun, harmless. Except now, staring at the pieces of my own puzzle, I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't just a game. Because one night, long after I'd forgotten about the countdown, Grandpa disappeared. No note, no explanation. Just gone. Everyone assumed he'd run off or passed away somewhere we'd never find him. But what if he hadn't? What if he'd found something? Something hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to uncover it. That's when the real clues began showing up. First, it was small stuff. A book left open on my coffee table to a page I hadn't read. An old photograph tucked into the pocket of a jacket I hadn't worn in months. Each item connected to my grandfather in some way. Then, late one evening, I received a package. No return address, no postage stamp, just a plain brown box sitting on my doorstep. Inside was a single sheet of paper covered in his handwriting. One phrase repeated over and over. Look closer, look closer, look closer. So I did. I started noticing patterns everywhere. In the cracks of the sidewalk, the arrangement of stars in the sky, even the rhythm of raindrops hitting my window. Patterns within patterns, layered like ripples in a pond. And each layer pointed toward one conclusion. Whatever force governed these connections wasn't bound by space or time. It existed outside both, watching, waiting. But why me? Why now? Have you ever felt like the universe has singled you out for something? Like there's a thread pulling you forward, invisible but undeniable? That's what it felt like. Only instead of leading me somewhere safe, it dragged me deeper into the unknown, deeper into fear. And then, last week, I saw her. She stood at the edge of the subway platform as the train approached, staring straight ahead like she didn't hear the screech of metal against metal. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. She looked familiar, but not in the way you'd expect. It wasn't nostalgia or déjà vu. It was more primal than that, like recognizing your own reflection in a dark mirror. Before I could move, the train roared past, and she was gone, vanished, as if she'd never been there at all. Except for one thing. When I got home, I found another message waiting for me. This time, scratched into the glass of my bedroom window. 6 minutes remain. 6 minutes? Remain until what? Until who? I stared at the words etched into my window, my breath fogging the glass as panic clawed its way up my throat. Remain until what? Until who? The questions looped in my head like a broken record, each repetition tightening the knot of dread in my chest. But then it hit me, the clock. My cursed alarm clock that reset every morning at 6:42 a.m. What if the countdown wasn't tied to some abstract event in the future, but to something far more personal? Something already happening? I grabbed the clock and turned it over in my hands, inspecting it for anything unusual. Nothing seemed out of place, just a cheap plastic shell housing circuits I didn't understand. Then I noticed something I missed before, tiny scratches on the back panel, faint indentations that formed shapes that looked eerily familiar. They matched the spirals from my dreams. My hands trembled as I pried the casing open with a butter knife. Inside, nestled among the wires, was a folded piece of paper so small it could barely be seen without close inspection. Unfolding it revealed a single line of text. 3 cycles remain. Cycles? What did that even mean? Was this connected to the clock's daily reset? And why 3? Why not 2 or 4 or 10? That's when I heard it again, the hum. Low, resonant, vibrating through the walls of my apartment like an engine idling just beneath reality. It wasn't coming from outside. It was inside me, rattling my bones, making my teeth ache. I clapped my hands over my ears, trying to block it out, but it only grew louder. Louder until I thought my skull might crack under the pressure. And then, silence. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed. The room was darker, colder. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls, pooling in corners where no light should have reached. The air smelled metallic, like blood and rust. I stumbled toward the window, hoping to see the city lights beyond, but instead, I saw her. The woman from the subway platform stood there, reflected in the glass, as though she were standing right behind me. But when I spun around, no one was there. Just empty space and the oppressive weight of knowing I wasn't alone. Her voice came next, whispering directly into my ear despite the distance between us. "You've been chosen," she said. "Not because you're special, because you're expendable." Expendable? Chosen for what? Before I could ask, or scream, or run, she vanished, leaving behind only the faintest trace of sulfur in the air. For hours after, I sat frozen, staring at the clock, waiting, watching, hoping whatever nightmare I'd stepped into would end. But deep down, I knew better. This wasn't random. This wasn't chaos. There was purpose here, a design too vast for me to comprehend. Then, the next morning, the clock reset again. This time, though, it didn't stop at 0. Instead, the display flickered and displayed a new number, 18:03. 18 minutes and 3 seconds. A timer counting down. Every day since, the pattern has repeated. Each morning brings a new number, always shorter than the last. Yesterday, it read 7:52. Today, when I woke up, it showed 4:19. 4 minutes and 19 seconds. 4 minutes closer to something. Whatever it is, it's coming for me. Have you ever felt like the universe is alive? Like it watches you, judges you, waits for you to slip up so it can pounce? That's how I feel now. Every tick of the clock feels like another heartbeat of some massive, unseen predator stalking me from just beyond the veil. And the worst part, I think I know what happens when the timer hits 0. Remember those patterns I mentioned earlier? The ones hidden in cracks and stars and raindrops? Well, they're not random. They're coordinates, instructions, a map leading to something ancient and incomprehensible. Something my grandfather found and paid the ultimate price to protect. Because now I realize what he was doing all those years ago. He wasn't playing games with me. He was teaching me how to survive, how to decipher the language of the universe before it devours you whole. But here's the thing. I don't think survival is an option anymore. Not for me. Not for anyone who sees the truth. Because once you start noticing the patterns, once you hear the hum and feel the pull, there's no going back. You become part of the equation, a variable in a cosmic algorithm older than time itself. So tell me, what would you do if you were me? If you woke up tomorrow and saw your own face staring back at you from the mirror, but it wasn't really yours? If you realized the person you trusted most, the person you called you, was never real? What if everything you remember was a lie? Pause. Right now, as I sit here writing this, the clock reads 2:37. 2 minutes and 37 seconds left. Whatever happens next, I won't be able to stop it. All I can do is wait and watch. Oh, and one last thing. If you're reading this after the timer runs out, look closely at the world around you. Look for the spirals. Listen for the hum. Because chances are, it's already started. It's already watching you.